InObscuria.
Welcome back, my friends, to the InObscuria podcast, a podcast where we exhume obscure rock and punk and metal. Yeah.
We got some demons coming up out of the gut of yours today.
And we put them in one of three categories: the lost, the forgotten, or the should have beens. I am Kevin Williams this week, and I think that is Robert Harrison over there.
Still Robert Harrison.
Still.
Have not changed yet.
This week.
Yeah, I don't know. Next week we'll see.
Awesome. What is up with you, sir, this week? This very, very, very hot week. We are in the southern
armpit of the year.
The armpit of America.
Yes, it really is. We are. Yeah, it's the summer doldrums here. Hot. You don't want to talk. You just kind of want to.
Yeah. Went outside to get my mail today. I broke into a sweat.
Yeah, just for them walk to the mailbox.
Well, seriously.
We were on Dio and I were on a walk before you got here. And I kept following the shade. I didn't want to actually go all the way down the street and back. I was just following the shade, walking around. But yeah, so last night I'm at the grocery store. No big deal. Go there 2 or 3 times a week. It's next door. It's right across the train tracks. Standing in the checkout line, thinking about how good this food's going to be when I get to cook it up in a few minutes. And guess who comes walking in?
Ronnie James, D.O.G.
Ronnie James, D.O.G.
Walked into
my dog.
Walked into the grocery store.
I'm looking over at the door. There's 2 doors. It's a Publix grocery store, big chain grocery store. There's an entrance and an exit. I'm near the exit, but I'm just happen to be looking over towards the entrance, waiting in line. Just comes bebopping in like he owns the joint. Instantly sees me. Oh, hey, and just starts walking over to me. It is no big deal. It's a game now. So it's totally a game. I have to go around and barricade all the doors in the house before I go to the grocery store because he breaks out and he knows where I am and he comes and finds me. And so this is the first time, though, I've got to witness it from inside the store. He's been in the store several times and I get a phone call or, somebody takes him out of the store or something like that. But this is the first time I've been in the store when he comes walking in and he's so happy to see me like it's been 20 years. Hey, I found you. So I have to leave my stuff, take him home, come back, get the stuff, wait in line a second time. So I'd left one of the doors open downstairs in the workshop and he got out. And once he's in the yard, then he just jumps the fence like it's no big deal.
And that's where he goes because that's his hangout.
That's his hangout. He knows exactly where to go.
The door opens every time he just walks up to it.
So when I came outside, there were 5 or 6 people that were watching this. They had seen him walking around. They said he went up to the first door and it didn't open. So he walks over to the second door. He knows to try both doors now and they're automatic. So as soon as he walks up to it, it normally opens. But he went to the exit first and it didn't open. So he knew to go to the other door and walk inside that stupid grocery store. So this is my life. I have to tie him up now when I go to the grocery store. I'm going to have to just put a straight jacket on him, tie him up, lock him in my room, and then come back and unload my groceries.
Well, he doesn't like to be the last in line. He is the dog on the Silver Mountain.
Yes.
So.
Look out! Look out! Look out! I was just thinking about, I was listening to the actual Ronnie James Dio, and I'm like, he's always warning you about something. Look out! There's a witch on the mountain somewhere.
It's a rainbow in every song.
Rainbow in every song, and a witch on every mountain. That is his theme. It's the way he lived his life. We love him for it. Thank you, Mr. Ronnie James Dio.
Did you do anything special for the 4th? We're just getting off the 4th of July holiday.
The actual holiday on the Monday, laid low at the house, but we had cooked out the day before, and I got a little tipsy, apparently, and had a good time. But before we did that, we went out on the fire truck. So I waited and we took a sunset cruise on the fire truck. So we take it out after dinner. We had, 8 or 10 people over.
Because it goes how fast?
It tops out, like if I wanted to, 32 miles an hour. But that's pushing it. It starts to shake violently at 32 miles an hour and the brakes are questionable and there's no seatbelts.
It might just fall apart if you went over that.
Yeah, some things have fallen off of it before, but I was going slow enough to hear it and I backed up and picked it up. But so I think there's 10 people in the back of it and we cruise around a little downtown area and through the neighborhood. And
so to remind people again, or if you're new, we record at the Old Smyrna Firehouse, which is where we have Ghost Fest every year. And also it's where Robert lives, and he happens to have a fire truck, which is how old again? 2 fire trucks, sorry.
Yes.
One doesn't move.
No, one is just yard art at this point. It is 80 years old, roughly, and the one that drives is 70 years old, and it runs great. But you
said if you took all the parts, there are some parts that are over 100 years old, right?
Oh, yeah. So the truck was actually kind of Frankensteined back in 1948. They took a brand new, in quotation marks, brand new truck in 1948. 8 and put the back half of an old fire truck from 1917. So back then it was just 30 years old.
So this is what you're riding around all these people in.
Yeah, it's 100 years old from the cab backwards, what they're riding in.
Where they are.
Yeah, it's only 70 years old where I'm driving.
That sounds super safe.
It's got the original flathead V8. For those of you that know what a flathead V8 is, you understand how glorious things. So it has no muffler.
Oh, I have a Phillips head V8, but
Phillips head V8. But it stays in my garage. I've got a garage that's big enough to fit a fire truck, and cranking that thing up inside the garage is the most American thing you can possibly do, because it sounds like,
instead of doing fireworks, that's what you guys do.
It sounds like freedom, man. You crank up a flathead V8 with no muffler. Just picture a Harley Davidson, like 3 of those cranking up at the same time.
All right.
Yeah, so that was my weekend. What'd you do?
We went up to the mountains.
Oh, that sounds, this time of year, yes.
It does.
Sounds great.
It does sound good. And you would go up to the mountains to, relieve
hike,
stress,
sit in a creek,
and not have anxiety, and do things that are in nature and good for you. But
you got kids.
I do have kids, but I find that my blood pressure spikes when I go to the North Georgia mountains, and there's 2 reasons.
Okay.
Number one, we always stay someplace that's on top of the mountain. This makes a lot of sense when you're renting it and the views are amazing, right? But the one thing that I forget about every year, even though I do it every year, is at some point I have to off-road my huge Ford Expedition up these very steep switchbacks that are basically goat paths. And they're one lane. And if there's a car coming down the other way, you have to figure out in this game of chicken who's going to win, one. And if it's not you, you have to figure out how to maneuver a backup on a switchback that any wrong move, you will be off the side of the mountain.
Yeah. And you've got, who's sitting next to you in the car?
Yes, my wife.
Yes, exactly.
Who does not like to yield to anyone.
No. That makes just a slight bit of pressure there.
Yeah, so my blood pressure spikes every time. And of course, the way that my family works is we'll get to the destination and I start to look at the views and my blood pressure starts to go down. Oh, good. Hey, we forgot so-and-so. We need to go out to the store, which is 20 minutes or 20 miles away.
Yeah.
Can you go out and do that? And so I get sent out on my own for 2 or 3 errands during the first day that we're there usually, which means I have to traverse the switchbacks one lane and wait for somebody to hit me around the corner.
Well, normally the larger vehicle wins.
Well, that's the problem. They're all larger vehicles.
But these days, it doesn't matter because everybody drives a Suburban or Expedition or F-350 family vehicle.
Huge machines going up these roads that were meant for goats.
Horses and buggies. A tractor, maybe.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a lane. And if you tried to make a lane, you would really, literally be off the side of the mountain. You'd be rolling down. I'd probably still be rolling.
I remember dating... you remember Dr. Melanie?
I do.
She had that mountain cabin, getting stuck up there because I had a Dodge Charger that I got up there. And there was just, the road itself to get to her cabin was exactly how you described. But once I got there was just this slight incline that was gravel to get out of her driveway. And it took me an hour of maneuvering, trying to get out of that stupid gravel driveway.
You couldn't get the traction.
Yeah, I couldn't get the traction. It's like the Dodge Charger. It's going to spin the tires. If you, start it up, it starts spinning the tires. Yeah. And so I remember that going, never again. I'm going to get a 4-wheel drive.
That is the great thing about having a 4-wheel drive, for sure.
You've got a chance of getting unstuck once you do get stuck.
But I heard my tires just... I don't know. I probably have to change my tires now, just from this one weekend.
You're going to be like me. Now I've got a 4-wheel drive. Now I've got a winch. I've got toe straps in the back, just in case, because I hate getting stuck. It's really embarrassing. So you're going to start doing that just in case.
So that's the first thing that takes my blood pressure up and gives me more anxiety going on this vacation. The second is mountain folk. Because God bless them.
Uncle Daddy.
They scared the shit out of me.
Uncle Daddy? Yeah.
You get to because we like to do these hikes, and every time you'll find, because you don't have any good, you can't use your MapQuest, I'm going way back.
Yeah,
you can't use your Google Maps.
Welcome to the 90s.
Yeah, exactly. You can't use your Google Maps or your Waze or whatever. It just doesn't work very well. So you have to look up where you're going before you head out, and then you try to find these trails, which are usually somewhat, I'm putting air quotes up, somewhat run state
maintained
trails.
Once a year.
Maintained maybe once a year by the local Boy Scout troop or something. And every time we go to these things, you're going to see some beautiful scenery, but to get to this scenery, you have to be amongst the mountain folk who you're not sure why they're there.
Yeah.
And you get weird looks when you start hiking, and they know, they're like, "You from Atlanta, aren't you?"
Oh, it's city
They
slicker.
know. They
written
know right
all over
away
you.
where you're from. And I don't know. I just get this real uncomfortable feeling. We got it so bad this time that we actually started our hike. We got like not even a mile into it, and Grace and I looked at each other like, "This is kind of weird. Let's just leave."
Really, you got
Yeah.
weirded out.
We
that
got
quick.
weirded out
on
big time.
like an actual hiking trail.
Yeah, it was. We had this Deliverance kind of vibe going.
Well, first of all, people don't understand. Deliverance was a documentary.
How goes it?
What the hell you think you're doing?
Heading down river.
You ain't never gonna get down to Antrim.
Well, why not?
This river don't go to Antrim. You done taken a wrong turn. You ain't
Jesus.
going no damn hurry. Get up now. Now let's you just drop them pants.
And it was done near us.
Those characters, the names may have been made up, but yeah, that was kind of truthful. That had a lot of truth to it.
Yeah.
If you spend time in the North Georgia mountains, I've had that experience too. Back in years ago, I had a sports car before there was GPS, and I had to stop at a convenience store to ask directions. Getting out of that car, the eyes were on you. I could tell everybody was looking at me like, "Oh, look you, boy.
Yeah.
What are you driving there, boy? That's a fancy looking car, boy."
Yeah, just
God, just
the
get me
mountain
outta
folk are a
here.
little scary.
Yeah,
I'm sure they're
it's not
I'm sure they're
country.
nice people.
No, it is not country. I grew up around country people. I'll speak the language. I can speak fluent redneck, country, but mountain folk is just different.
It's a whole different creepy vibe.
Yeah, so come on down to Georgia.
Yeah.
Come visit us.
come
It's
visit.
great. It's
fun.
great. It's
Yeah,
fun.
come
It's
on
beautiful here.
down. Well, after you squeal like a pig, go listen to Pot of Thunder, Cobras and Fire, Growing Up Rock, Slamfest Podcast, Decibel Geek,
You got a
A
purty
to
mouth.
Z Radio, Metal Up Your Podcast, The Hustle, Disciples of the Watch, Podcast Rock City, Sean Geek and Fast Fret Podcast, State of Amorica, Rock Strikes 10, Potter Than Hell, Podkiss, The Kiss Room, Ages of Rock, Retro Zest Podcast, The Synaptic Empire, and Monty's Rockcast.
You know, you could just pre-record that and then just speed it up like they do for the legal disclaimers.
Yeah, but that's not fun.
Hey,
Come visit us at InObscuria.com. Like us, share us, or recommend us Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and leave us a review. And go buy some stuff. And speaking of reviews, last week, so we read 2 reviews 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that was a banner day for us.
Wow.
I mean, we'd celebrated all week.
Last week,
Great.
you said somebody actually came up to you in a store and gave you a review.
Kind of, yeah.
And then this week, I've had a couple of people reach out and say, "Hey, do you have an email address?" And this week, we got a recorded review.
We're getting analog in person. I mean, how old school are we?
Yeah. So, if this were the old days, it would have been like a voicemail.
Yeah, you play
That's
it from
kinda
your
what I
phone
got.
into the
So,
microphone.
I am going to play this review. It is mostly intended for you, sir, Robert.
Oh, Jesus.
And let's see if I can pull this thing up here. So I believe this gentleman's name is either Stefan or Stefan. I'm not sure, but I'll just roll it.
Hey, this is a review of your show. This is particularly for Robert. I get up every Friday, and just I listen to your voice, and I've been following you on Facebook and all the socials, and I see you work with your hands, and you do things with metal, and you bend it and you heat it. And then you play rock music, and I love rock music. And I also hear that you own a firehouse, with a pole. I'd love to slip down your pole one day, Robert. You just make my day with your rock. And I hope to meet you one day. And 5 stars, guys. Well done.
Hey, you know what? Whatever it takes, man. Whatever it takes to make this show the best damn show ever.
Sounds like a nice young man.
Absolutely. Just salt of the earth,
Those are our fans.
Those are our people
Just
right
good
there.
people.
Yeah.
I believe it's Stefan. I'm pretty sure that's Stefan.
That's Stefan. He would go by that, yeah.
Yeah,
He
so-
sounds cool.
Very, yes, cool gentleman. Okay. All right. Well, let's get into this week's episode. The other night, I thought I was having another dreamscape, another incident where the spirits have reached out to me in my dreams. I was having vivid dreams of all sorts of childhood songs, and I thought it must be a sign when I woke up, and it was the middle of the night. And then I realized that what had happened is my wife's been sleeping in the other room. because our bed, we need a new bed. We've had it for too long, and she's like, I don't like this bed anymore, but we haven't committed yet to buying a bed because
it's a big decision. It's a big decision.
So she's been sleeping in the other room,
Yeah.
and it's allowed me to get back to my old habit of watching TV and falling asleep while the TV's on, which I can't do when she's in there. And I guess while I was asleep, I must have rolled over on the remote, and I put DirecTV on the 80s channel. So it was not the Spirits, it was just DirecTV's 80 channel spinning all the songs from my childhood. Oh, well.
So, Flock of Seagull night it is.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so, you know, I was awake, so I figured, well, I'm in the mood. I might as well Google 80s rock and see if there are any lists out there, just for fun of it, because I was awake then. And I Googled a list from Ultimate Classic Rock, top 20 80s rock bands. And I started looking at it, and I'm like, this is interesting. This gives me an idea for this week's show. So, Robert, tonight, we can't play these songs because everybody knows them, but I've got a way around this. There's a catch.
You play them backwards.
We're going to play them backwards. No, this is episode 134, Covers from Beyond the 80s. All right, so these are all going to be 80s songs that we all grew up with, but those of us who are from the 80s. Being covered by other bands.
Obscure bands, maybe? Or obscure covers?
Some obscure, at least obscure enough that you probably haven't heard these before.
I mean, we found that formula when you and I were in a band, that we were an original band. You know, sometimes people have to suffer through their original songs. We'd always kind of give them a reward.
And we gave them 80s,
always. Throw in some 80s songs. And
we gave them Kids in America.
Yep.
We gave them In Cars. Iran.
The Cars. Both.
We did.
In Cars.
Just what I needed.
Cars.
Yeah.
Flock of Seagulls.
We gave them, which Twisted Sister did we give them?
I Want to Rock.
I Want to Rock. That's right.
I can't do it. Kent, that's the only song that Kent would sing, our drummer, and he nailed it every time.
Yeah. And he also used to give us a little stand up and shout before we started. A little Dio.
Oh, that was good.
That was good. Okay, so anyway, I thought I would read a little bit of this list because this kind of gave me the idea like, oh, this would kind of be cool if we could find some bands that are somewhat obscure that have covered these same songs that you've heard a million times, maybe put their own spin on it. And I love 80s music. That's kind of when I was a kid. You know, we kind of grew up in that time, and so I thought it would be really fun. So on this list from Ultimate Classic Rock, top 20 80s rock, guess who number 17 is? I'm only going to read the top 10, but guess who number 17 is on this list?
Warrant.
It is not Warrant. It is a band from New York that used to paint their faces, but they took the paint off in the 80s. Their name is Kiss. There's your Kiss connection with K today. So they actually picked Kiss as their number 17 80s Ultimate Classic Rock.
No.
So they're mixing anything rock.
Kiss was not that cool in the 80s. I'm sorry.
Well, you know, I read why their reason was. And this is always like when you look at things in hindsight, when you're doing these lists.
Oh, the nostalgia.
30 years removed, 40 years removed.
They're including the 70s in that, basically.
Well, here's what they said, and I kind of agree with it. They said for Kiss, the adversity of starting out the 80s at their lowest possible point with Unmasked and The Elder, the changing times, losing 2 original members, changing their sound.
Well, they didn't lose.
Well, they left.
Members.
But
they left them by the roadside.
But their point was they came back so strong that they had multiple platinum albums from the mid to late 80s. They maintained their status of being a headliner act when really the beginning of the 80s it looked like it was done. So I kind of get that.
They're a good comeback story in that sense. So I like that. Yes, they would have been relegated to state fairs, just like REO Speedwagon style. But
as much as I love Kiss, I probably would not have put them in the top 20 of 80s classic rock.
Overall, like classic rock in general, we're talking 80s here.
Right. And here again, classic rock is now defining things that originally it didn't define. Yeah. So I'm going to read this list and you're going to be like, classic rock? I don't know.
Loosely.
There's pop, there's metal, there's all these
very
things.
Very large air quotes around classic rock.
Yeah. So, all right. So number 10, I'm just going to read them off and you either agree or disagree or you can. Number 10, I agree with number 10, Hall & Oates.
Yeah.
Huge in the 80s.
They had some rockin' songs.
Well, and they were huge. I mean, definitely in the top 10.
I mean, they were big enough for my junior high school marching band covered Maneater. That's how big they were. Here she comes. I think I just found that sheet music, too. I uncovered that in the basement.
Oh, boy. All right. Number 9, Motley Crue.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Number 8, Journey.
Yeah.
Number 7, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. They had a bunch of hits in the 80s.
Okay, I'll give it to you.
Number 6, Metallica.
Yeah.
Number 5, ZZ Top.
Yeah.
Yep. Number 4, this was one, Aerosmith.
once again, 70s success.
I don't agree with
late
this one.
80s. They just snuck in with a couple of power ballads. Wasn't
Yeah,
it
but
late
Pump
80s?
came out in 89, so it just barely eked. That was
Yeah.
the one that was huge. Permanent Vacation, the one before that, that was their comeback. That's one album.
Yeah.
So you're going to base a number 4 ranking on one
There's
album?
a whole lot of bands I would have put in that place, but go ahead.
All right, so number 3, even though I hate this band, I agree, though, they're probably the number 3 spot, REM. Because REM did usher in what was to come.
You hate them?
I hate REM. Can't stand them.
I have a significant dislike. It has not elevated to hate, but it's
I've always
just like,
hated REM.
all right, move on. If I hear a song, I'm like, move on.
Yeah, they do have, I will say there are a couple songs that I like.
Yeah, I mean, End of the World as We Know It. It was a
That's
lot
a
of fun.
pretty fun
Because if
song.
you could cover that, that was a fun night. If you could, by the end of your set, 'cause I always used it at the end of the set when I was doing acoustic covers. So I was usually kind of tipsy.
Well,
and
girls
tired.
love it.
Girls love
So
it.
you gotta play it.
But yeah, remembering all those lyrics to one song, that was fun.
All right, they got number 2 and number 1 correct in my book. Number 2, Van Halen.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, they're still huge in the 80s.
Number 1, Guns N' Roses. But there again,
They were so big, but
it's one album.
87
It's one
and
album.
a half. Yeah, one album.
one album. That-
Tail end of the 80s.
It did. I mean, you're talking about a diamond album. I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking about something that went crazy. But I agree, but
I think half the reason they put up
One
this
album.
list is so we argue about it and talk about them.
Yeah.
I think that's part of it.
I would put Van Halen in front of Guns N' Roses.
I would too, because think about from 84 until 87,
Well, Van
89.
Halen, Van Halen had
90. Oh, you went 1,
they had like
2.
2 basically different bands.
Yeah.
And they were both in million
Huge
sellers.
success.
So
Yeah, I definitely put them above. Guns N'
All right,
Roses.
well, moving on. That just got me thinking. So here's episode 134, covers from beyond the 80s. We're going to dive into this, and I think you're going to like this first one because this is a band that we have dedicated an entire episode to, who we both liked a lot, and I introduced this band to you. It's a band that Joey Haney from Rock Strikes 10 introduced me to a few years ago, and like I said, we did a grave mistake, should have been huge earlier this year. This is a 70s and 80s influenced arena rock and AOR juggernaut from Sweden known as the Night Flight Orchestra.
Oh, yes.
So if you want to get a good 80s cover,
Yes.
this is the band to go
I'm
to.
going to put on my workout clothes. Hang on.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the song, and then we'll talk about the band that they're covering and some stats on the song, if that works for you.
Yeah.
All right, so let's just get into it. Here's the Night Flight Orchestra with their 80s cover.
Pumped up. Okay, so I know who the band is. Don't know what song that was, but if you hadn't told me, I would have said, obviously the song is from 1984, maybe 1985.
85 would be correct.
Yeah, but that saxophone gives it away.
Do you remember the song?
No, I don't remember the song. What is?
Okay, so
Just Another Night, Just Another Night.
this song was a hit, reaching number 1 on the U.S. mainstream rock chart and number 12 on the U.S. pop chart. It's from an album called She's the Boss. It is the first solo album for Mr. Mick Jagger.
Oh, well, that's why. I never listened to him.
Number 6 in the UK, number 13.
Who does he think he is?
The album went platinum in the U.S.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I don't remember that song. I don't remember any Mick Jagger solo stuff from that era. I think I was listening to 1985 would have been Aha. Duran Duran, The Cure, some electronic stuff like that.
I totally remember this video, though.
I don't remember.
Oh, it was so bad. Oh, yeah. In the mid-'80s, Mick and Keith, they both... Keith.
Sorry, just Keith.
They both decided to try some solo albums in between the Stones stadium outings. So the Stones would do an album, go tour stadiums, and then Mick and Keith decided they wanted to do something different. And so they both put out some pretty decent solo stuff. And they've never revisited it.
Yeah, they just left it there. left it in the 80s. In 1985. But that Night Flight Orchestra, what a gift to us and other people. It's so great.
If you don't know this band, the Night Flight Orchestra, they are amazing. We kind of talked about them as being like the love child of Toto and Foreigner and all these bands that are just, that AOR gold.
And then add to that the fact that they come from bands that sound nothing like this.
They are basically members of extreme metal bands from Sweden.
I mean, if they just always played music like this, that still would be, hey, these guys sound great. But knowing that they come from
Cookie Monster
music. Cookie.
So go listen to episode 112 and you'll get the whole scoop on the Night Flight Orchestra. Absolutely love that band. Since we did our episode, I have turned on quite a few people to this band and I keep referring them. We'll go listen to this episode and you'll get the whole scoop.
Okay. Well, I've got to go. I've listened to the episode now, but I need to go and search out more music because I was looking on YouTube and I was only getting one song at a time. So I need to go find some albums.
Yes, you actually need to go purchase music. That would be amazing.
Oh, is that, you have to do that?
You can purchase music.
You have to buy it these days?
You could. You don't have to.
Sucks.
No. They made it so you don't have to, and which is why
you call that progress?
Everybody's suffering. Okay, so let's move on to the next 80s cut. Now, this is going to be played by a Seattle band who established a sound of their own pre-grunge.
Okay.
And
it was just slightly dirty.
It was different, very different from the grunge bands. You wouldn't know this band was from Seattle unless I told you. They covered this song I'm about to play before they split into, now there are 1, 2, 3 Reichs. Oh, so this is Queensrÿche.
We talked about that.
Yeah. I don't know if you listened to the last episode, but I did a mashup with Silent Lucidity and Adolf Hitler.
Silent, yeah. That the Reich 1, yeah, all right. Reich 2, okay, not too bad. You don't want to be in Reich 3.
There's a third Reich. No.
You don't want to be in that group. No.
But this was done. So this was done in 2007. This is while Jeff Tate was still in Queensrÿche. They put out this covers album called Take Cover, and it has a really interesting mix of stuff that you wouldn't really think Queensrÿche would do. But it's interesting. I'll say that. It's not. I wouldn't call it a good album, but it's interesting. And this song, I always loved this song, and it's interesting that Queensrÿche covered it, and I think they do a pretty good job with it. Let's hear this one from Queensrÿche.
Suicides are fake. That only the rush I had to face. Act like lemmings into shiny metal boxes. Contestants in a suicidal race. Daddy grips the wheel and stares alone into the distance. He knows that somewhere something has to break. He sees his family home now, looming in his headlights. The pain upstairs that makes his eyeball many miles away, there's a shadow on the door of a cottage on the shore of a dark Scottish lake. Many miles away, many miles away, many miles away, many miles away, many miles
That one I remember, of course.
You might know that one, huh?
I know. It's one of my favorite police songs. It was a staple on classic rock, still is, and one of the things that pushed me in the direction of getting the hell out of the corporate world. Song about the drudgery of going to work, coming home from work, dealing with crap at work. And yeah, I remember listening to the radio and that song would come on like, oh God, I gotta go to work. Oh, Jesus.
Hard to believe that album was the Police's last album. It came out in 1983.
Yeah.
And if you didn't grow up in the 80s, if you're younger, you probably have no idea how huge the Police were for such a short period of time. Kind of like the Beatles. Like, they were huge. They were everything.
6 years.
They took what was, I guess, new wave. They took it to a different height than any other band, and they were kind of faking it to begin with. But I mean, just, 5-6 years from the late 70s to 1983, and they were done.
They walked away.
That was it. Well, they hated each other.
Yeah, well.
I did get to see them.
Eagles hated each other too, but they stuck together a little bit longer because they all were enjoying the ride.
Right, yeah. I mean, Sting knew that he could go out on his own and do his own thing. So, which is what he did, which is what they all did, really. But I did get a chance to see the Police when they got back together. I can't remember what year that was, but it was in the 2000s, and they did a 2-night stand here in Atlanta, and I went to see them the second night, and I had heard that Sting was sick, and sure enough, he didn't look good. He didn't look like he felt good, but man, did they put on a show. And they did that one tour. I think it lasted maybe just under a year, and then that was it.
And say, see ya.
Sting was like, I'm never doing it again. I can't stand these guys.
That's going to be fucking cover of Modern Drummer magazine is going to be fucking devoted to that drum fill, you cunt.
It's amazing that you could play that drum fill in 9 beats.
Right?
It's fantastic.
Just because you get lost, just because it's a little confusing for the fucking bass playing element.
Even then, usually, the pressure's off, we're just going to have fun, and still couldn't stand them.
But I was just so excited because, again, if you were, I was an elementary school kid when the Police were huge, and so they were just bigger than life at that time. The song itself, that one was only number 17 in the UK and number 16 in the US on the Billboard charts. Synchronicity, the album that it came from, that was a number 1 album in both the UK and the US. So huge, sold over 8 million copies in the US alone. But the other singles from that album, Every Breath You Take, King of Pain, Wrapped Around Your Finger, those were huge. This song, Synchronicity 2, was not nearly as big, but they still play it to this day, and it's probably their most rockin' song.
That's one reason I like it, yeah. The others were more, not ballads, just down-tempo songs.
But hard to believe that was their last album. Synchronicity was inducted. It's such a big album, a big triumph. It was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame, the album.
The whole album.
Didn't even know they did that.
Let's talk about the band that covered it.
Yeah, let's talk about the band that covered it.
Queensrÿche.
You wouldn't expect Queensrÿche to cover that song.
So it obviously draws parallels to Dream Theater. They did a lot of covers, and they chose really complicated songs to cover.
They would usually do prog rock from the 70s.
Prog rock, because these guys were amazingly talented. Queensrÿche, very talented as well. But this is such a simple song. It sounds, to me, kind of like they ran through it a couple of times, rolled tape, and then, okay, let's cut print.
So here's what happened with Queensrÿche, and the reason that they kind of split into 3 factions now that we have the Third Reich. The reason they did that was, because Jeff Tate had his own agenda from the rest of the band. Mm-hmm. They kind of stopped progressing, and they were making more of Jeff Tate's solo albums. He had so much control. I believe at one point in time, around this time when they did this album, his wife was the manager. So Jeff really had his claws into this band. It was his band, basically.
Yeah.
And when he did a solo album in the 2000s, it literally sounded just like the Queensrÿche album that had just come out. Like, you could not tell the difference between the two. That's how much of a hold he had on the band. So that's kind of why they split.
Other than the wife being the manager, very Pink Floyd-ish.
Yeah.
That's one heavily creative, controlling member.
The wife being manager is more Spinal Tap.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so and I think this is probably an album that a lot of people don't really even know was out, because at this point in time in 2007, Queensrÿche had really lost a lot of their progression, we'll just call it. They were forced to be reckoned with for such a long time, and then they sort of lost their way a little bit, split up, and now it seems like the Queensrÿche that is the proper Queensrÿche without Jeff Tate, they're going back. They kind of went backwards to where they had started off with the kind of metal sound that they had. Jeff Tate's continued to do his thing and also, play full albums that made him rich in the first place.
Yeah.
So I'll take it. I like Queensrÿche. I know a lot of people, they're a polarizing band. A lot of people don't like them, but I dig it, and I just think that was a unique cover for them to do. And there's some other ones on that album that are even more unique for them to do. It's a weird album. Here's another weird album that I didn't expect to occur. So this is a band we're going to play whose brother just happens to be Rob Zombie.
It's Bob Zombie.
This is Bob Zombie. No. So this is a band that I actually saw open for Kiss in Columbus, Georgia in 1997. And what was unique about this show, not only did I see this band, and I had never heard of them before, they're called Power Man 5000. Yeah, so the singer is Rob Zombie's brother. But when I saw this band, I didn't know who they were, and they were basically, at that point in time, they were like a funk rock band. They were more like the Chili Peppers than Rob Zombie industrial sounding. They became more industrial sounding as his brother got more famous. He followed exactly the direction that Zombie was going. But what was unique about this show, not just seeing them for the first time, but this was the show that Kiss played. This was the reunion tour. So the original 4 were back in the band, but this is the first time that Peter Criss did not play. He was either sick or he was having a hissy fit, and he didn't go on stage. His drum tech, who was probably 50 to 60 pounds heavier than Peter, put on Peter's makeup and played the entire show, his drum tech. And at the end of the show,
stretch that leotard.
So there was no Beth. Thank God.
Yes.
I saw a show where there was no Beth. I didn't have to endure that damn song. But at the end of the show, when the drum riser goes up, because this guy's a little bit heavier, the riser was actually swaying back and forth. And I went with my cousin, and I remember us both looking at each other like, that thing's going down. This is going to be bad.
This is going to be on the news.
Yeah, but it stayed, and they didn't come right out and tell us that that wasn't Peter. It was not until almost the end of the show when Paul Stanley finally said, "Oh yeah, by the way, Peter's not feeling so well tonight."
Wow! Columbus, how you doing, people? I tell you something. I know tonight is a good night to have a rock and roll party. Now I know how long you've been waiting to see us. We've been waiting to see you just as long. I didn't want to see you people disappointed. We didn't want to let you down. Peter Criss is feeling a little sick tonight. He's back at the hotel, but we got Eddie Cannon, his best friend, on drums tonight, and we are going to kick your ass tonight. So what do you say we get going with a little bit of rock and roll?
But you knew it.
You can see it.
Okay, I'm just saying. You of all people should have known that.
We were like, what the hell is going on?
Peter put on some weight? He's hitting the booze pretty hard.
So anyway, we're going to play a cover from Powerman 5000. They became, like I said, they were kind of a funk band when I got into them, but they became more of an industrial heavy metal band, very 90s zombie-like after this time. So, what would you think they would cover? Probably not this song, and this is one of my favorite songs from being a kid. I used to love this song when it came on the radio.
Down in the street there is violence, and lots of work to be done. No place to hang out to wash in. I can't blame it all on the sun. Oh no, we're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. We're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. Working so hard like a soldier, can't afford a thing on TV. Deep in my heart I'm a warrior, I can't get food for the kids. Oh no, we're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. We're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. We're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. We used to blame in one country, never can get to the one. Did multiplication, and they still can't beat everyone. Oh no, we're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. We're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. Out in the street, out in the street, out in the playground, on the dark side of town. We're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. We're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. We're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. We're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. We're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher.
Eddie Grant.
Eddie Grant.
1981, 82?
I believe 82, I think.
Somewhere. Once again, I was in North Florida, Northwest Florida, so we were about a year behind. So when songs come out in 1981, we heard it summer of 82 probably.
I used to love this song. When it would come on the radio, I was like, I don't know what this is.
No, same thing.
But I love it.
I didn't know what I loved about it. I love the synthesized Electric Avenue because that was new. That was cool.
Yeah,
How'd you do that? It's a computer talking.
I had no idea who Eddie Grant was.
Still don't.
Never heard of him.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that he had been around for years. Do you know
reggae?
The history? Well, that's what I thought too. I thought, he must be an islander reggae guy. Well, he did, when he put out this album, he was in Barbados. So he was an islander at that point. But
in the video, he's got dread, so I just assumed.
Yeah, so you would assume he was a reggae guy before, but I didn't know what reggae was back then. I was a kid. I had no idea. Didn't know who Eddie Grant was. But the actual background of him is in 1965. Think about that. In 1965, he formed a band called The Equals, which was a mixed race band, an English band. And he played guitar and sang background vocals. And they had 2 hit albums in the 60s. And they had a #1 hit in 68 with a song called Baby Come Back. And I had no idea until I did some.
I'd never heard that either.
In 71, this is crazy. So think about timeline here. In 71, he suffered a heart attack and a collapsed lung, and that caused him to leave the group that he was in, and he focused on just recording. And then by the early 80s, he decided to get back in the game, and that's when he started putting out these singles and these albums. And he had a major hit. The other thing is I found out before he got back into music, he also tried tap dancing and acting. So
tap dancing, sure.
Who knew so much about Eddie Grant? I had no idea.
It's a triple threat. That's what they call a triple threat right there. Singing, acting, and dancing.
In 2021, he's still around. In 2021, he sued Donald Trump because Trump used Electric Avenue in 2020 advertisement.
Thoughts, yes.
Fake
news. We're not rocking, and it's not electric. It's solar-powered Avenue now. This green energy.
Yeah, so this song reached number 2 on the UK charts. It spent 5 weeks at number 2 in the US.
So did it say if he won? Because you always hear that. You always hear, oh, they're suing this because they're using this song. I've always wanted to know. Well,
I didn't dive that deep into it. I thought it was.
Did you win? I want to know. Can you sue people for using your song? Technically, I thought can, but
I don't know. You pay the royalties, you get it, right?
That's what I thought. So anyway, if anybody knows, let me know.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but this song in the early 80s, this was so it must have been 83 now that I think about it, because I'm looking at this. It was number 2 in the UK, number 2 in the Hot 100 in the US, and then the only reason it didn't get to number 1 in the US was because of 2 songs.
Michael Jackson.
Nope.
Ooh.
That's what I would have thought too. So this is 83.
Oh, 83, okay.
So 82, that would have been the case. 83, Flashdance, What a Feeling was one that kept him out. And then the other one that beat him out, we just talked about, Every Breath You Take by the Police. Kept him out of the number 1 spot. But that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. There was, I think it was Toto, not Africa, Rosanna. It talked about how they were kept out of number 1. It was just like the son of a bitch.
Michael Jackson,
all these other huge
Lionel Richie.
hits. Yeah, Lionel Richie, like just massive hits that they just happened to come out at the same time. Otherwise, that song would have easily been number 1 for a long time.
Right.
But they kept getting knocked out by these different massive hits. So that was an interesting time in music back then. A lot of huge hits.
A lot of huge songs in the 80s that are still being played today.
Yeah, covers.
Here we go.
Yeah, we're still playing them.
Let's go to another one. Now, here is a guy that replaced a guitarist in Tesla. So this guy, Dave...
Tommy Skew?
He replaced Tommy Scooch. Yeah, he replaced Tommy Skew in Tesla 20 years ago.
So he's been out of it that long?
He's been out of it that long.
Oh, okay. I knew he's gone, but not that gone.
This guy, Dave Root, he put out this song on an album that I got from, I forget which record company it was. It was like a promotional sampler thing. It was called Deep Cuts and Rarities, and he had Dave Root on it, just solo, doing this song. And I'm like, I would never expect the guitars from Tesla to play this 80s pop song, but we're about to hear it. And another song that I knew nothing about the guy singing it at the time. I thought he was a new artist.
All right, that was cool.
That was a kick-ass version of that song.
And I love it. Had just a funkiness, a good rocking quality, and then just the shredding guitar there.
And just blue. They added bluesiness to
bluesy. That's
a really
good,
electronic sort of sounding song from Peter Gabriel.
And Peter was huge. Once again, talking about things that were just absolutely monstrous. He's coming off of Genesis. Him, Phil Collins, just competing back and forth, knocking each other out of the charts.
And if I put myself back in that time, did you know who Genesis were? I didn't.
No, not until after the fact.
I thought I had never heard of Peter Gabriel. I saw this video and was like, this is cool. Who is this guy?
I learned who Genesis was because my best friend in high school, Craig Kerr, had a cassette that had Genesis on it. And it was the song Mama.
Oh, yeah.
Ha, ha. He's like, oh, you got to hear this. And he gave it to me. And I played it in my Volkswagen Beetle convertible stereo, which was like the god-awful crappiest stereo. But it was just glorious sounding. It was it was ominous sounding. It's one of these songs that just builds and builds and very weird. Didn't know what it was about. But that's when I learned.
Did you know that was Phil Collins?
He's like, well, yeah, because I'd just been incarcerated, well, not incarcerated, arrested for listening to Phil Collins at 120 miles an hour. Yeah. So I learned who Phil Collins was. And then my friend Craig goes, oh, if you like Phil Collins, you'll like this. And I heard, I'm like, oh, so he's in another band too.
Yeah, that's how I was. And I didn't know for years. Like, I didn't know Peter Gabriel had anything to do with it. I knew Phil Collins. I knew Peter Gabriel because they had songs that were current.
Mike and the Mechanics. Mike Rutherford.
Yeah.
Had the big hits.
I had no idea.
And who was the other guy in Genesis that didn't really have any hits?
The keyboard player.
Yeah, I remember there being a documentary. They're talking about Mike, and then looked at him. He's like, yeah, I don't know. They just had all these big hits, and I put out a couple of albums.
The guy that wrote most of the Genesis stuff.
Yeah, didn't get any recognition after that. So anyway, that was a big time for Peter Gabriel. It was a groundbreaking video.
Oh my God, the video was so cool.
Kind of computer generator, whatever it was. But yeah, so all that was a really cool time.
That's another one of those songs. At that age, I was probably in the 6th grade when this came out, and it just blew me away. I thought it was so cool. And again, I had no idea who this guy was.
We just appreciated for what it was.
Yeah. Song stats. So it reached number 1 in Canada, and it spent 4 weeks at number 1 in the Billboard Hot 100 in the US and number 4 in the UK. The album So topped the charts in 7 countries worldwide.
Topped the charts. It was so amazing.
Yeah, including the UK, where it was number 1, and it was number 2 in the US. It never got to the number 1 spot on the album charts, but the song did, but not the album. Peter Gabriel was huge. Red Rain was also on that.
Oh, that was a good song.
Good one. Biko. I don't think Biko was on that one, but I remember them playing all of those songs.
Which one was Your Eyes?
In Your Eyes was...
I can't remember which album.
That was before that album?
Was it before that?
I'd have to look back.
Yeah, I can't remember. Another great song, though.
Yeah, I think it was on that album.
God, what a good album.
Very good stuff, if you like that kind of thing, which I did at the time, and I still do. And I love that there's a bluesy, rocked-out version of Sledgehammer, man. Dave Root killed it.
High five to that.
Yeah, killed it. So here's another one where you're going to get a more metallic interpretation of this song, which, again, for me, I remember hearing the song we're about to hear at my 7th grade dance and my 9th grade dance. It was a hit for quite a while.
So there's no awkwardness to that 7th grade dance, right?
Well, I was going to say the Kevin at the 7th grade dance was a much different Kevin than the one that went to the 9th grade dance.
You become a man.
No. At the 7th grade dance, I was kind of trying to fit in and be, not an elementary kid and be a middle school kid. I was trying to,
growed up.
Yeah, trying to fit into whatever I thought was cool at the time. In the 9th grade, I had discovered punk and metal, and I was full on Iron Maiden from head to toe, all black, and I had a mullet. And I remember going to this dance and just snarling. All this music sucks. They're not playing anything good. This sucks.
Can't dance to this.
Yeah, I don't even know why I went. Why did I go? I literally had on my battle vest with Iron Maiden
to show
live after
to show
death.
how anti-dance you were.
Yes,
death before dance.
I do know that the DJ at both of those dances was the same guy, though. You know what the DJ's name was?
Oh, no.
In our little town?
Uh-oh.
It was the Chocolate Spider-Man.
Y'all give it up.
Give it up for the Chocolate Spider-Man.
Chocolate Spider-Man, yeah. Jump to Secretville, yeah.
All right.
The band.
And he played this song at both dances. I do remember, and this is an R&B soul pop crossover hit for this band. Still such a great song, and we're about to hear it covered by a newer band. It just came out in 2022. The name of the band is Devil's Train, and yeah, check this out.
There's got to be a reason, and you know the reason why. Try to put on an act real cool. Got to realize that you're acting like some fools. If the music, we can use it, we need to dance. We don't have the time for psychological romance. No romance, no romance, no romance for me. Oh mama, come on baby, tell me what's the one. What up? Everybody say, when you hear the call, you gotta get it on the way. Oh! Die loud for no one. Cameo, 1984. As soon as that song started, I thought, damn it, we should have covered that.
I know. It's such a...
I instantly realized how well that could go with rock.
It was such a crossover between all of those worlds of R&B and rock, and it was huge.
Yeah.
That song was huge. Now, me being a kid, I had no idea who Cameo were. I had no idea that they were a funk R&B band that started in 1974.
Yeah, they'd been around.
That was their 12th album when that
Finally.
came out. I mean, they had some other successes, obviously, but not crossover like that.
Not like that.
That was a pop crossover. 1986, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, a little later.
1986. It reached number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100. It was their highest charting single ever. And again, it was on their 12th album. They've had 17 albums total in their career. So I believe they went to about 2000 and then they stopped recording. But I believe they're still out there. I think they're one of those legacy R&B touring acts. But
just having a good time.
On those summer tours, you see all of them combined.
I'd go see that.
I would go see it too. And I actually want to dig back in. I don't know enough about their funk days. I bet there's some good stuff.
12,
that we're missing.
17 albums? You know there is.
Yeah, so I need to go back and do a little digging on some Cameo.
I would like that.
That band Devil's Train, so Stephen Michael and Sonny Hollywood Pooney introduced me to them on their Growing Up Rock podcast recently. It's a German band, and they kind of have an old school 80s kind of sound to them, but you can hear those
chunky guitars.
Newer guitar sounds, which not a huge fan of all the time, but it works in this song. It's pretty cool.
They're paying homage to some good music, so I'll give it to them.
Yeah. So let's keep on that track of a heavy band covering a more poppy song from the 80s. Time to hear from another German band. 2 German bands in a row.
Taking over. It's the second right.
Yeah. This is one of the big 4. God, I hope not. This is one of the big 4 of the German thrash bands. The German thrash bands that make up the big 4: Creator, Destruction, Tankard, and this band Sodom. So this is actually a cover of a cover that Sodom are doing here. And originally, this song was by Simon and Garfunkel, but the version they are covering is from a band that did it in the 80s and had an even bigger hit with it. We'll discuss when we get back.
Okay.
Time, see what's become of me. While I looked around for my possibilities, I was so hard to please. Look around, it's around, and the sky, it's a hazy seasons change with the scenery. Weaving time in the tapestry. Won't you stop and remember me? Look around, leaves are brown in the sky. It's a hazy shades of winter. Look around, leaves are brown. There's a patch of snow on the ground. Look around, leaves are brown. There's a patch of snow on the ground. Look around, leaves are brown. There's a patch of snow on the ground.
Bengals.
Susanna Hoffs never sounded so good.
Oh, she's so hot.
She's still hot.
God,
Have you seen her now?
Yes,
oh
I
my
know.
God.
She's getting better, man.
Wow.
Good God. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a young man back
The
then,
Bengals.
that look and walk like Egyptian that she got famous for when she looked off to the side.
Yeah.
And that's like the downfall to that band because she got so much attention that there was a lot of jealousy for her because up until then they were just a band. All of a sudden it was Susanna Hoff and everybody else. But you know, I had Simon and Garfunkel's greatest hits. Still have the CD. I love that. When I was learning to play the guitar, the guitar, folk music was the easiest thing to really, finger pick. And so I remember listening and playing, but I don't remember that song. I've got to go back and look up and hear what
1966.
their version sounded like. I can't remember now.
Yeah, it came out in 66 for Simon and Garfunkel. It was number 13
But that was
on the Billboard chart.
absolutely nothing like theirs. That was exactly like the Bagels.
In 80s, yeah.
Did you say Bagels?
The Bagels. Are you hungry?
I am. The fried okra wore off. By the way, did you smell the kitchen?
No.
Oh, it smelled so good.
Oh, no, I missed that. Sorry.
Fried okra from scratch, man. From the garden. From the freaking garden.
Homegrown.
Fried it in my kitchen. It was so
How
damn
about
anyway,
that?
I want some more now.
1987,
Yeah.
the Bengals recorded their cover version for the Less Than Zero soundtrack, which is an amazing soundtrack from that time. It has all sorts of great bands on it. That peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the U.S.
Have I told you my bagel story? Talk about
Bagel or Bengals?
Bagel. Because, we were talking before the show how growing up in the South, we had certain foods that were great and certain foods that weren't good. So I wasn't exposed to a lot of different exotic foods. So
Didn't know about those donuts that weren't frosted?
Yeah, didn't know what these were. So I go off, and my sister is older. She's in college, and I go to visit, and I go to her sorority house. So here I am in high school, like sophomore in high school, walking into a college sorority house. I'm like, swing. So we're having brunch or breakfast, and we sit down, all these tables. Only guy in the room is me, and there's my sister and all these hot college girls. And I reach over in the middle of the table and pick up a donut, and then try to take a bite. And so I tried to take a bite, and it was stale. And I looked over at my sister, and I tapped the donut on the plate. And these donuts are stale. Did you know that? And I'm tapping it, just for emphasis, ding, 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 ding. And her eyes get really big, and she's like, "Stop it." I'm like, what? So I had to double down. I'm like, no, they're stale. I think you need to send these back. Ding, 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 ding. She's like, that's a bagel. I'm like, a what? Does that mean a stale donut? She's like, no, you put cream cheese on it. So I didn't know. At 14 years old, I didn't know what a bagel was, and I embarrassed the hell out of my sister.
Her Jewish roommate from New Jersey was just looking
yeah,
at you.
they're like, oh, vey. It's the story of my life. I just have to, if there's a situation where I'm going to embarrass myself and everybody else in my family, I take full advantage of that. Yes. So anyway, we're talking about the band, not the food.
Yes, the Bengals.
Yes.
There's nothing else to say about the Bengals.
They're hot.
They had a lot of videos where I was just mesmerized.
Yeah, I can't remember the music, but remember the videos.
I do remember this song. I like this song a lot. I had no idea it was a cover at the time. I
didn't know it.
Barely knew who Simon and Garfunkel were.
Yeah, that was like me playing I had the soundtrack for St. Elmo's Fire, which had a lot of Motown on it. And my mother...
Rob Lowe playing his saxophone.
My mother hears me playing this Motown from my boombox. And she's like, what's that? I'm like, oh, it's a new song that came out. Da-da-da-da. Just heard it through the grapevine. And I remember her rolling her eyes at me like, oh, you poor child.
I've raised an idiot.
Yeah, I've raised a moron. But once again, when you're young, you don't know the full
idea. You think everything is new.
And it's about us.
Right.
This is written for us.
All right. Well, here is another band that, is not that obscure. We're talking about LA Guns next. So LA Guns Tracy Guns, who he was the Guns in Guns N' Roses, but he left that band. Slash came in, obviously, and you got Guns N' Roses. And he went on to form LA Guns. A lot of people know this story. Pretty famous hair band, had some hits. But they put out a covers album in 2009. And by 2009, a lot of people, unless you were a diehard, you probably weren't following LA Guns. Not on a major label anymore, out on an independent label.
No, that was about the time we saw them on the back of a trailer.
Yeah.
Playing the Oyster Festival down in Atlanta.
Yeah, pretty much. And at this point in time, you didn't always get Tracy, you didn't always get Phil Lewis, who are basically LA Guns. If you don't have one of those two, it doesn't really sound the same. So, it was kind of LA Guns and kind of not. But anyway, they're covering this song that, again, I like this song. My sister loved this song, had the 45. This was more of a chick song. I would never have expected to hear this song being played by LA Guns on their covers album when they only have 10 songs that they're choosing from. This is one that they chose. I love it. I love that they did this, but you would not expect this.
God almighty, I've not heard that song in 15 years. And I'm killing myself because I can't remember who did it.
Well, that was the problem with that song.
Is that it?
That was Matthew Wilder.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I remember the name, but I couldn't tell you anything about Mr. Wilder.
Yeah, I remember my sister had this on 45.
That was a drippy, poppy...
It was a very poppy song, very catchy.
Very catchy, yeah.
Never would have expected LA Guns to cover it.
That was out of left field for sure.
Yeah, so Matthew Wilder, I guess he was in some bands in the late 70s, and then he went out on his own, and his 1983 debut album had this big hit on it, and he never had a subsequent hit. He had another minor song that did okay off of it, and then his sophomore album had some okay, made some airplay but didn't really do anything, and then he kind of went away. Poor Matthew Wilder, right? Mm-hmm. Not so poor. So what did he go on to do? Well, he went on to be a producer.
That's where the money is. Randy Jackson style.
He just happened to produce a diamond-selling album, which I'm sure he got points on. Uh-huh. That album was No Doubt's Tragic Kingdom in the 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, that was...
Sold 10 million copies.
10 bazillion copies.
And he probably got points on that thing.
Yeah.
So don't feel so bad for Matthew Wilder having his only one-hit wonder.
He had at least one hit, so he had that fun, and then he cashed in 10 years later.
That song was in 84, hit number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100. I'm not sure how it did around the world, but it was a pretty big hit.
Yeah, I remember.
In the States.
I remember back then, and like it would pop up, not necessarily on classic rock radio, but top 40.
That was top 40
like
pop, yeah.
But a lot of the retro 80s shows, once you got into the 90s, occasionally you'd have these retro 80s flashbacks, and that would be one that would pop up.
All right, well, let's play another current band, and this is another covers album that just came out this year in 2022. And the band that we're going to play, who's covering this song, is called AWOL Nation.
Yes.
You familiar with AWOL Nation?
I am.
They're pretty cool, actually. They had a hit a few years back called Sail, which I thought was awesome.
And that's played way too much.
It's a great
Stop
song.
Playing that song. I'm not going to edit myself. Thank you. I got a little upset there. Sorry.
Well, that's fine.
It's way overplayed.
It is a good song.
Yeah.
And Jeremy Zamora...
Fail! that's what I sing every time.
And Jeremy Zamora, who's been on the program, he and I both, when we've talked about this song, about how great that song was, and both of us got the EP that it's off of, or the album, and we were both like,
that's it.
That song's great.
That's it.
But nothing else really hit with us.
One and done.
I really dig this album that they've just put out. It's called My Echo, My Shadow, My Covers, and Me. It's all cover stuff, mostly kind of 80s stuff. I don't know how old these guys are. They can't be our age. I would think they'd be a lot younger.
Oh, no, I think they're 30s.
In their
at
30s.
this point.
So they didn't really live through this time period, but they're covering a lot of these songs, and they're doing a damn good job of it. And they've invited a lot of other bands to do songs with them. The song that we're going to hear, it's AWOL Nation and Rise Against. And if you don't know Rise Against, they're kind of a pop punk band. They've done well over the past, I don't know,
10
decade,
12 years.
Yeah, I've seen them live. They're great. Really good band. Their songs don't stick with me, but they have a huge following, a big cult following.
That's another one that if it comes on the radio, I'm calling, okay, listen, but I don't sing it. I don't sing it in my head later on.
Yeah, I've got a couple albums by theirs, but it doesn't stick to my ribs like, other bands. So good band, just anyway.
They're the fiber of rock and roll. They just work right through you.
Yeah, exactly. Good band though. So here's AWOL Nation and Rise Against covering, well, just an Australian treasure. Here we go.
lot of times when we think of cover songs, especially you and I, we think of a little bit more on the ridiculous side, taking synth songs, rocking them out, or ballads and making them heavy. And this was a more sympathetic cover where my respect for them went up because it was a really quality cover of a song that you wouldn't think of covering.
Pretty true to the original, but they added that. I mean, there's a wall of noise. In this
That's
band's sound.
When the dance part came in, it sounded a little more dancey.
They added some more keys to it. I mean, the Midnight Oil version of this, which is the original song, obviously, is pretty produced.
Yeah.
But it's produced for the 80s. This is really taking it to the now, what's happening right now. And this band does a great job of it. Every song that's on this covers album is like that. They've kind of elevated these songs to now.
Yeah.
And they do justice to them.
They're not trying to rewrite them, but just reproduce them.
Yeah, pretty on the nose with their recording of it. I love when bands take things and do different things with it, but I also love it when they pay tribute to the song and let it be what it is. And we've talked about this before. We covered Midnight Oil in episode 55, which is one of our most popular episodes, I should say. It was the Aussie pub rock with our mate from Sydney, Mr. Craig Elvin.
The other Australian treasure.
The other Australian treasure, the jewel of Australia.
The Gold Coast.
Mr. Craig Elvin, who we will have on eventually again. Yeah, so we covered a lot of Australian pub rock, which is where this came from. And in the States, at the time that this came out, again, me in 1987, I had no idea who Midnight Oil were. I thought they were a brand new band, and this is their song, and they're a one-hit wonder. And no, not at all. This was, I believe, off album number 6. It was their biggest international hit single. Peaked at number 6 in Australia, number 17 on the US Billboard Hot 100, number 6 in the UK. And their 6th album, Diesel and Dust, which is the album this came from, was a number 1 Australian album, number 21 in the US, and number 19 in the UK. So this was as big as Midnight Oil would ever get.
Well, no, because then the singer went and ran for Parliament.
Well, I'm talking about as far, and he was in, So Peter Garrett, the lead singer from Midnight Oil,
6'8", what is he?
He's huge. Yeah, he's just a wingspan on the guy. When he stands on stage,
does the Jesus Christ
like
pose.
a condor.
Yeah.
But anyway, he would go and run for office, and he did that for several years. And Midnight Oil was kind of done when he did that.
Yeah.
More recently, they've come back, and unfortunately, they lost their bass player Bones, passed away a few years ago. But I believe they're on their final, what they say is their final tour now. This year.
Well, some bands mean that, and then some bands
I kind of believe it with them.
Are full of crap.
Yeah, exactly. Wonder who that is. Okay, I got one more for you.
All right.
I dare you not to sing along with this song. This is one of those songs that...
Tell me what to do.
It doesn't matter who's playing this song, you're going to sing along with it.
All right.
It's crossover Southern rock, AOR, hard rock classic.
This in my wheelhouse right there.
One of those songs. And the band that's covering this, again, a band you would not think would play this song. A band's called We the Kings. Have you ever heard of this band?
No.
So they came out in the late 2000s. They were like a pop punk / emo band. They're from Bradenton, Florida. Do you know where that is?
I know where that is.
Where is that?
There is not much around it.
Okay.
Not South Central Florida. So between Central Florida and South Florida.
Is this not near Tampa?
Not too far from there.
Okay, I was thinking like Tampa area, but maybe.
Like I said, it's not central, like Orlando, Central Florida. I think it's south of there, but not so far south that you're near Miami.
Okay, well, that's where they're from. I didn't know a lot about them. I actually knew them from this cover because it was on an album that I have that I just found out about them. But their debut album, which came out in 2007, had a platinum-selling single called Check Yes Juliet.
Nope.
I don't remember it,
no.
but it was a platinum-selling single for the time. They've sold over 250,000 copies of that album, which for that time is pretty good because nobody was buying music just like today. And their second album had a couple of top 40 singles as well. So this band has done okay in the past, and they're still around. And again, wouldn't expect them to cover this song. They do a good job of it, I think, and we'll talk about it when we return.
But it's real and I feel it.
Yes, what a unique band. They don't get a lot of mention on because they weren't really a Southern rock band. They're from Jacksonville, Florida, so can't get much further south than that. But
strong connections to Leonard Skinner.
Yeah, and so I'll butcher this every time. So Ronnie Van Zant was the one that was killed in the plane crash.
That's correct.
And his brother Donnie took over for him. And then in Van Zant, but then 38 Special, you had Monty Van Zant.
Monty.
What was it? There's a third one. Lonnie. Johnny, wasn't it? Skippy Van Zant. It was a big family. I can't keep them all straight. They're all very talented.
Oh my God.
But no, Monty was the used car salesman. He downtown Jacksonville. They had a dealership right there on Interstate 10 as you come off the bridge. I remember that heading over. Anyway, but yeah. So Leonard Skinner would beat you over the head with the fact they were a Southern rock band. Allman Brothers, you knew they were Southern rock, even though they had a little more blues quality to them in a jam band. But 38 Special was just pumping out hits in the mid-late 80s when hair bands were all the rage. But here would come 38 Special just throwing out these hits, getting top 40 radio airplay and, huge numbers. But like I said, when you think back to Southern rock, they're like, oh yeah, and 38 Special.
Yeah, they were always kind of that extra band on the ticket.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hey,
and 38 Special's playing too.
Yeah, too. Cool. But like I said,
Johnny Van Zant, Monty.
Monty. It rhymed. I knew that. But Jeff Carlisi, I mean, the only hit I would give to that cover they did, they left out that end where he's just, which, that kind of makes that guitar lead on that song.
But not bad from an emo band.
Once again, my respect for that band just goes, even though I don't know them, they did a very sympathetic cover to that song. They were trying to be silly with it.
Yeah.
It was just playing a song.
It took that band playing that song because how many times, at least here in the South, how many times have we heard this song? It took
once an hour on the radio.
Yeah, as much as we hear Skinner.
Yeah.
Pretty much. It took me hearing this cover for me to realize that is one of the most perfect pop songs I have ever heard.
That's what I'm talking about.
Perfectly written.
They would come out with these just rock and pop songs. And like it wasn't a Southern rock song. It was just a pop song but with a rocking edge. So both worlds, the pop world and the rock world, still love it.
It's similar to me for 38 Special. I did not realize how good they were until much later because I was beaten over the head with them on the radio or it just wasn't my thing back in the day.
Yeah.
And here in recent years, I have come to have a appreciation of 38 Special, Foreigner, and Night Ranger. I've just fallen in love with these bands that I always didn't think I liked.
Night Ranger, the talent that was in that band, just amazing.
The songs that they wrote, when you go back and listen to them, because now that I've been collecting vinyl over the last, really been getting into vinyl over the last 10, 20 years, I'm starting to get things in, you find things cheap. Like you can find a Night Ranger album or a 38 Special album that's pretty, like $2. I'll pick it up and then I'll put it on and I'll just put the headphones on. I'm like, my God, these are good, well-written songs.
Yep. They weren't just jam songs.
They didn't hit me that way.
Cheeseball Southern rock, like Kid Rock tried to co-opt the Southern rock thing and write country rock, whatever, but it failed miserably at it because it's horrible. He should have stuck to just being a rap rock, whatever he was originally, the first album. That's only, I'll listen to his first album and that's it. When he tries to be Leonard Skinner revamped, I'm like, no, you're from Michigan. Stop it.
And I need to give credit to our listener, Steve Coldwell, because he's the one who pressed me. He's like, you need to go listen to Night Ranger if you're not into them. Like, just go listen to them. And so, Steve, I bought some cheapies on Discogs in the last year, and I've really gotten into Night Ranger. So 38 Special is kind of on the same spectrum.
But we should talk more about songwriting. We talk about guitar leads and the drums and this and that, but the actual structure of the song, I'm a fan of that. I've written songs, and I unconsciously, how many times did I bring you a song and go, oh, this is, the best song ever. You're like,
Boston.
It's Boston, more than a feeling. And it was just, a well-written song sticks in your head. And so when you start writing, you're like, oh, this sounds great. Well, it sounds great because it was that song that you heard, 5 years ago.
The funny thing about this song, and I always thought this, I love bridges. I love good bridges in songs. It's not always the hook for me that I love in a song. It's that part that takes you from the first chorus to the rest of the song to the end. That bridge in this song is so good. I mean, it's the standout part of this song.
It's like you're on interstate. You take an off-ramp and you kind of see the scenery all of a sudden, then it brings you right back the on-ramp and you're right back on the interstate again.
So that's what I got for you this week, man. I thought we'd do a little 80s and I thought we'd do it a little bit differently.
I like it. I like that.
Yeah. We're kids of the 80s. We got to love this stuff.
There's more familiarity there in this episode than most episodes where I'm going, what?
This is the way that we spin this on this program of InObscuria. How do we keep it obscure yet everybody knows these songs? All right. Well, until next time, people. See
ya.
Later.